Hi, welcome to the Listen Up Girl podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman. Today is Sunday, July 19th, 2026. It is a big day today, and I do mean big. We've got 7 stories, including one literally happening today at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. We've got a surprise policy reversal from the Orange Convicted Felons Administration, a trans janitor in Kansas being hunted for using the bathroom, a full-scale crisis unfolding in Indonesia, a leather bar that beat a billionaire, and a gay politician in Germany who crashed out spectacularly, and J.K. Rowling doing something so unhinged it can barely seem real to us. So let's get into it, starting with the Orange Convicted Felons. HHS quietly shelves the hospital trans care ban. So we're starting with something that doesn't happen a lot in the show, some actual good news out of this administration. The Orange Convicted Felons team has backed off of one of its most aggressive attempts to eliminate gender-affirming care for transgender youth nationally. Back in December, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services announced a proposed rule that would have cut all Medicare and Medicaid funding to the hospital in the country that provides gender-affirming care to minors. Given that Medicare and Medicaid account for roughly 45% of hospital revenue, losing that funding would have been a death sentence for many institutions, and it would have wiped out trans youth health care even in the blue states. The rule is not being finalized. Now, let's not throw a parade yet, because experts are quick to note that not formally withdrawing the rule, the administration can keep it alive as a threat to continue pressuring hospitals even without finalizing it. But every major medical organization in the country pushed back hard, and this time the pressure worked. A win is a win, and we will take it. Now we go to Kansas University threatens trans janitor for using the bathroom. For a small piece of good news to something that will make your blood boil. Shaban Christenstein is a transgender woman who works as a janitor at the University of Kansas. She has been using the women's restroom on campus for years without incident. On July 10th, when she received an email from the university's director of employee relations, informing her that she had been reported for using the women's bathroom. Kansas's bathroom ban is described by advocates as the most aggressive anti-trans bathroom law in the country. Under the law, if someone reports a trans person for using a gender-aligned bathroom, the institution is required to send a formal notice. A second report means a $1,000 fine. A third means a misdemeanor arrest, and the university itself faces $25,000 for a first violation and $125,000 for each one after that. Shaban and her immediate reaction was complete shock and then fury. She doesn't know who reported her. She had done nothing wrong. She used the bathroom like she always has used. This is what bathroom legislation looks like in practice. Not protecting anyone, just punishing a janitor for existing. Disgusting. I don't know why people would do. Why would they report her? Seriously, let her use the bathroom. Next, Indonesia brands LGBTQ plus people a national security threat. So we need to talk about what is happening in Indonesia right now. Indonesian president signed a presidential regulation last October that classifies LGBTQ plus culture as a non-military threat to the nation, placed in the same category as terrorism, cybercrime, and narcotics. The regulation is part of the country's national defense framework through 2029. The regulation went largely unnoticed internationally until this month, when news broke that attacks on LGBTQ plus university students across Indonesia escalated significantly during Pride Month. Human Rights Watch reported that at least 10 public universities recently adopted discriminatory regulations and began cracking down on any discussion of gender and sexual diversity on campus. Students have been targeted, harassed, and physically assaulted. Amnesty International called the regulation a framework for state-sanctioned hostility, warning that it places LGBTQ plus Indonesians at immediate threat of discrimination and harassment both by government and civilian actors. Indonesia is the world's largest Muslim majority country. Same-sex relations are already illegal in parts of the country, and now the government has handed every authority figure a document that says these people are a national threat. We cannot look away at this, and we'll keep bringing you more updates as we get them. Next, Phoenix Leather Bar beats the U-Haul billionaire. A win, and here it is. A Phoenix gay leather bar called Barracks has won its liquor license after an 8-hour hearing before the Arizona State Liquor Board. The owner has been trying to open up barracks in Phoenix Melrose neighborhood, historically the city's gay neighborhood, for years. The only formal ejection came from Stuart Schoen, heir to the U-Haul fortune, who owns the neighboring property and had been fighting the license for months, using legal filings, subpoenas, and arguments that queer leather culture itself was evidence of criminal intent. The board heard 8 hours of testimony. The neighborhood association, local business owners, and dozens of residents submitted letters in support. In the end, the board voted 5-1 to approve. The Hugh Hall heir has reportedly threatened a defamation lawsuit over news coverage of the story. The community showed up, the community won, and the bar is opening. Next, Germany's gay politician resigns over surrogacy hypocrisy. This is genuinely wild. Jens Sapan is an openly gay man, and until very recently, the parliamentary leader of Germany's ruling conservative bloc. This week, he and his husband announced the birth of their son through a surrogate mother in the United States. Here is the problem. Jens had repeatedly and publicly opposed surrogacy. In 2015, he said that as a gay man and a Christian, he found it very difficult to support the idea of a rented womb. He personally blocked efforts to legalize the practice while serving as health minister. And surrogacy is illegal in Germany. Contracts with surrogates are legally void, and the ban is part of his own party platform. After the announcement went viral and backlash exploded, including from his own party, Jens stepped down from his parliamentary leader role. He said he had come to realize that his personal happiness in starting a family was incompatible with my political office. He did not resign his parliamentary seat. You don't get to spend a decade banning something for everyone else and then use your wealth to access it privately abroad. That is just not hypocrisy. That is class privilege dressed up as conviction. Next, J.K. Rowling posted an Upskirt, a photo of a trans woman. So we need to talk about J.K. Rowling once again about what she did because it has to be said plainly. Rowling this week posted a photograph taken from below an upskirt angle of a trans woman who had declined to debate her. Her stated justification was that the woman was refusing to debate me. So to be clear, the woman had chosen not to engage. She walked away, and Rowling photographed her from below and posted it publicly. Trans advocates and legal experts immediately pointed out that sharing non-consensual photograph taken at the angle is a form of sexual harassment and potentially legal in several jurisdictions. Rowling has spent years positioning herself as a champion of women's safety and dignity, and she did this. The action speaks for herself. Imagine if this trans woman would have went up to her and pulled up and took a picture under her dress. Imagine that. What would have happened? She would have been arrested. They should arrest J.K. Rowling for doing this. It's sexual harassment. Next, Madonna is performing at the World Cup, and it's happening today. It may be happening as you're listening to this. So we're going to end today on something that is genuinely thrilling because it's happening today, and as many of you are listening to this. Today, for the first time in FIFA World Cup history, there is an official halftime show at the World Cup. And the headliners are Madonna, Shakira, BTS, Justin Bieber, and Burna Boy, performing together at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, with the show curated by Chris Martin of Coldplay. Madonna is our icon, full stop. She showed up for the community during the AIDS crisis when the world looked away, and she has been a queer touchstone for decades. Through Vogue, through her advocacy, through her art, through her Confessions 2 album that just dropped this month, and it's still number one. She has had 5 decades of number one songs. Seeing her on the biggest stage in the world today, the most watched sporting event in history, is not just entertainment. It is a statement. It is the queen of pop at the peak of her powers, performing for billions of people. The show is airing on Fox Sports and Telemundo. If you're not already watching, go turn it on right now, and I'll wait. Thank you for listening to the Listen Up Girl podcast for Sunday, July 19th, 2026. 7 stories, a healthcare win. Will cautiously celebrate a trans janitor targeted for doing her job. A country branding its own people as a national threat. A leather bar that earned its license. A politician undone by its own hypocrisy. J.K. Rowling reminding us that she's an asshole. And Madonna performing at the World Cup. as you listen to this. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a rating and a review because it genuinely helps people find us. Share this with someone who needs to stay informed, and find me on Instagram at @TheRealZachRe. See you tomorrow with more LGBTQ+ news. Thanks for listening.